Welcome. We believe that listening is the most natural way to learn a foreign language. On this channel we will publish conversations between two people each time on a different topic so that you can improve your English without boring grammatical rules. In order for the brain to absorb the language as much as possible and to automatically think and speak in English, it is recommended to listen to each episode several times at a distance of days. If you find these podcasts useful, we would be grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and like. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone. You guys sent in some really interesting stuff this week about shopping.
Yeah.
An article, some of your own personal notes.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everyone is really interested in, the psychology behind shopping.
Right.
Specifically, how our brains react, like when we hit add to cart.
Yeah.
It's like, we all know that shopping can feel good,
Uh-huh.
maybe a little too good sometimes, but why?
Yeah.
What's the actual brain science behind that shopping high?
Right.
So I'm really excited to kind of explore all this with you today.
Yeah, let's unpack it.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty amazing how deeply ingrained shopping is, even down to our neurochemicals.
Okay, so your notes mentioned endorphins.
Yes.
Those seem to be coming up more and more these days.
Yeah.
In articles about happiness and exercise. But shopping, too.
It's not just a cliche about retail therapy.
Okay.
Endorphins are really key here.
Really?
So those are those feel-good hormones.
Right.
And they're really just our brain's way of rewarding us. Originally for things that were, crucial to survival.
Okay.
So finding food or shelter, like caveman stuff.
So you're saying, our ancestors finding a juicy mammoth,
Uh-huh.
that would be like an endorphin rush.
Yes.
And now, centuries later, it's a perfect pair of shoes.
Exactly.
Talk about an evolutionary mismatch.
Our brains haven't quite caught up to the fact that we're not hunting for survival anymore.
All right.
But that reward system is still there.
Okay.
And it fires off, when we score a deal.
Yeah.
Or buy something that we've been eyeing.
Okay.
It's giving us that same I did good feeling.
Yeah.
Even if the good is just a new sweater.
But the article kind of goes beyond just endorphins.
Yes.
It was talking about how retailers and marketers are using this knowledge to their advantage. It's getting kind of manipulative sounding.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a whole field, really.
Wow.
They call it neuromarketing. And it's basically studying how our brains respond to marketing tactics.
Wow.
So think about those limited time only sales.
Yeah, those get me every time.
Right. Because it creates a sense of urgency, of scarcity.
Yeah.
Our brains, they hate missing out. So we're much more likely to impulse buy.
Yeah.
Then there's also social proof.
Okay.
So all those reviews and testimonials, our brains are wired to follow the crowd.
Yeah.
So seeing others rave about a product makes us want it more.
It's like they're playing our brains like a fiddle.
In a way, they are.
Yeah.
They're tapping into our deepest psychological triggers.
Wow.
Fear of missing out,
Yeah.
desire for belonging, need for status.
Okay.
It's fascinating and a little bit scary.
No kidding. So knowing all this, how can we avoid falling prey to these tactics?
I think awareness is key.
Okay.
Just knowing that these techniques exist
Right.
can help you kind of step back and make more conscious decisions.
Right.
So before you click buy, ask yourself, do I really need this?
Yeah.
Or am I being manipulated by clever marketing?
That's a great point. So we've talked about, the brain science, the marketing tricks.
Yeah.
But you also flag some really powerful personal stories in your notes.
Yes.
About people who are struggling with what the article calls compulsive shopping.
Right.
That's serious stuff.
It is, and it highlights the darker side of this whole reward system thing. For some people, that shopping high becomes the main way they cope.
Okay.
With stress,
Yeah.
sadness, you name it.
Right.
But just any quick fix,
Yeah.
it doesn't last.
It's like self-medicating with stuff, right?
Yeah.
Temporary relief, but the underlying problem is still there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the cycle continues.
Wow.
Buy more stuff, feel good temporarily. Then the guilt and the shame set in,
Yeah.
leading to more stress and the urge to buy again.
Oh, wow.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
One story that really stuck with me was about this woman talked about how the thrill of buying new clothes turned into an obsession.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It took over her life completely.
Wow.
Mountains of debt.
Oh, gosh.
Her family barely recognizing her.
Oh.
It's a reminder that this, seemingly harmless shopping spree can really spiral for some people.
It sounds incredibly isolating, too.
Yes.
Like the shame would keep you from, reaching out for help.
Absolutely. There's this misconception that compulsive shopping is just about being materialistic or lacking willpower,
Right.
which makes it even harder to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's a real mental health condition,
Okay.
often tied to underlying issues like anxiety or depression.
So what can someone do if they, recognize themselves in these stories?
Yeah.
Where do they even begin?
Well, I think the first step is acknowledging there's a problem.
Okay.
That's huge. Then reaching out for professional help, a therapist, a counselor, someone who specializes in these kinds of behavioral addictions.
That makes sense, but I imagine it's scary to take that step.
It is, but so worth it.
Okay.
Therapy can help unpack those underlying issues, develop coping mechanisms and strategies to manage those urges.
Okay.
There are also support groups,
Right.
online communities where people share their experiences and lift each other up.
Yeah.
No one has to go through this alone.
That's so important to hear. Okay, so let's switch gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked about the downsides,
Uh-huh.
but what about the flip side? Is there a way to enjoy shopping in a healthy way without falling into those traps?
Definitely. Remember, shopping is so ingrained in our culture.
Right.
It's social. It can be creative.
Right.
The key is to be mindful,
Okay.
to shift from mindless consumption to conscious choice.
So how do we do that? Give us the practical tips.
Well, it starts with understanding your triggers.
Okay.
What emotion sends you reaching for your wallet? Is it stress, boredom, loneliness?
Yeah.
Once you know your triggers, you can find healthier alternatives.
Okay, so instead of that online shopping spree after a rough day,
Yeah.
maybe it's calling a friend or going for a walk.
Exactly.
Or working on that hobby you love.
Exactly. It's about finding things that truly nourish you,
Right.
not just offer a fleeting dopamine hit.
Right.
And when you do shop, be intentional.
Okay.
Make a list, set a budget and stick to it.
Okay.
Ask yourself, do I need this?
Right.
Will I use this?
Okay.
Do I even like this?
Yeah.
Or am I just caught up in the moment?
It's like that saying.
Yeah,
Don't buy things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't like.
exactly. It's about breaking free from that consumerist mindset,
Right.
defining your own values and making choices that align with those values.
I'm also thinking about all those marketing tricks that we talked about earlier. Knowing those tactics feels like a superpower.
It is. When you see a flashy ad, recognize it for what it is.
Okay.
An attempt to manipulate your emotions.
Right.
Unfollow those social media accounts that make you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
Unsubscribe from those tempting emails.
Right.
Take control of your digital space.
It's funny, we often talk about retail therapy as a joke.
Yeah.
But this conversation has made me realize how important it is to find true sources of comfort and joy,
Yeah.
not just temporary fixes.
That's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Shopping can be a fun social activity,
Right.
but it shouldn't be our only coping mechanism.
Right.
Building genuine connections, pursuing passions, finding purpose, that's where lasting fulfillment lies.
So before we wrap up, what's one final thought you would leave our listener with?
Okay.
Something to ponder as they go about their day.
I'd say this, pay attention to how you feel, not just when you're shopping, but throughout your day.
Okay.
What brings you genuine joy? What lifts your spirits?
Okay.
What makes you feel connected and alive?
Yeah.
Cultivate those things.
Okay.
Make time for those things.
Right.
And you'll find that the allure of that shopping high fades away.
That's beautiful. It's about finding true happiness, not just chasing fleeting pleasure. This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
And I'm sure our listeners taking away some valuable insights. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
The good, the bad, and the brain science behind our love-hate relationship with shopping.
Yes.
Before we finish up, though, I want to kind of circle back to something you mentioned.
Okay.
The idea of mindful shopping.
Right.
It almost sounds like a meditation practice.
It kind of is. It's about bringing awareness to each step.
Okay.
From the moment that urge to buy pops up to browsing,
Yeah.
all the way to checkout.
Yeah.
Instead of being on autopilot, we're tuning into our thoughts,
Right.
our feelings, and our motivations.
So let's say I'm browsing online and that cute sweater pops up.
Yeah.
The one I've totally been wanting. How do I apply that mindfulness?
Pause.
Okay.
Don't click add to cart just yet.
Yeah, but
Ask yourself those key questions.
okay.
Do I need this?
Mhm.
Does it align with my values, my budget?
Yeah.
How will I feel after the initial excitement wears off?
It's like hitting the brakes on that impulse.
Yes.
But honestly, sometimes those urges are so strong. What if I'm still tempted?
That's where having those alternative activities comes in.
Okay.
Think about what truly nourishes you.
Right.
Maybe it's calling a friend, going for a run,
Mm-hmm.
listening to music, spending time with loved ones.
Right.
Shift your focus to something that brings genuine joy,
Okay.
not just that fleeting shopping high.
It's almost like retraining your brain to find pleasure in different things.
Exactly. And it takes practice,
Okay.
just like any new habit.
Right.
But the more you do it, the easier it becomes to resist those impulsive urges.
We talked a lot about, individual choices,
Mhm.
but the article also touches on kind of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
How our culture, fuels this shop till you drop mentality.
Right.
It's kind of overwhelming.
It is. We're bombarded with messages
Yeah.
that equate happiness with buying stuff.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
We have the power to push back.
Okay.
Choose experiences over possessions.
Mm-hmm.
Support ethical brands.
Okay.
And resist the pressure to keep up with the Joneses.
I think, thinking back on all of this, it strikes me that shopping is so much more than just transactions. It's about our emotions, our values,
Yes.
even our sense of identity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to approach it with awareness and intentionality.
Okay.
When we understand the psychology behind our shopping habits,
Mm-hmm.
we can make choices that truly align with who we are and what we value.
Well said. I feel like we've given our listener a lot to think about today.
We have.
Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up this deep dive?
Yeah. Remember, the true fulfillment comes from within.
Okay.
Cultivate gratitude for what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Nurture your relationships.
Right.
Find joy in the simple things.
Yeah.
And pursue your passions.
Okay.
Those are the things that will truly enrich your life.
Beautifully said. So to our listener, we hope this deep dive has empowered you to be a more conscious shopper.
Yes.
And to find lasting joy beyond the fleeting allure of material possessions.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
And until next time, happy and mindful shopping.